So, what we have planned today is some of this. I made some little sketches today, this week, and we're just gonna sculpt a cool mech. I'll go in detail of the workflow of how I do everything. Planning to make a tutorial series soon, so this is like a practice run. So I'm gonna be trying to explain everything, like what the buttons are and stuff like that. So here we go. Just for navigation, I have my two trigger fingers, and if you press it, you can just grab the viewport and then move stuff around. With my thumbstick, I can scale up and down my brush. And if I press my A button and I double tap it, I go between the sculpting, like additive mode, and then subtractive mode. So green to add, red to remove. So I'm gonna sculpt like a big mech with some big arms, something tough, feels heavy. And I usually start by sculpting the main body. Something like this. At any moment, if you have any questions, either post in the Discord chat, I have it open, or Twitch chat, I'll also have it open on the side. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll do my best. Or you can also just raise your hand and get on stage.
If you want to come on stage, raise your hand. I'm here. I'll be reading both chats too.
Yeah. Okay. So blocking in the main body part, the torso, I guess. Just a neutral color, going pretty fast. The resolution is low, so it's not super clean, but it's fast, right? You don't want to lose momentum. Gage asking what's the influence or idea for this piece. Well, I wanted to make like a tough mech, something bulky, feels heavy. I got inspiration here from two artists that I like a lot, Hangzy and Darren Bartley. And this week I just sketched something. Kind of has the same vibe, but we're gonna take inspiration from this and then just do our own thing. Is VR the future of concept art? I mean, for me, yes. But it's not everybody that works the same way. Some people like to paint. Some people like to do 3D. Some people like to do VR. I enjoy VR the most. Alright, so
AI is.
it's AI, yeah. I mean, you can mix VR with AI and you get some pretty cool results. I've been playing with that a lot this past few weeks. It's great.
Win said I loved it for concept art. Makes turnaround so easy.
Yep.
VR.
Absolutely. Alright, so main torso, I'm just gonna keep adding layers and then build all the different parts. I'm gonna try to keep the different parts on a separate layer so it's easy to move around and then scale up and down and then figure out the right proportions. So let's do like belly kind of part. I'm just taking decisions on the fly, so something might not look perfect to start with, but we'll adapt and then change whatever we like. We're sketching at this point, we're not trying to model something super precise. We got the pelvis part. I'll attach the leg here. I really like the stance of this one with like very thick legs and then big arms, like short stubby legs. Both of these two have very long legs, but I think we're just gonna have something like this, but we're gonna cut the leg here. So let's do just the blocking of the shape. Nothing super clean. but just to get the general proportion. So we got the thigh muscle. Do a calf or lower leg part.
Quinn said, "Are you ready for Armored Core 6?"
I'm very ready. Funny thing, I've never played an Armored Core before. I just love the look of the game so much, but I never had a PlayStation growing up. I was an Xbox kid, so I never got to play it, but I just love the design so much. And then one of my favorite mech designer was working on Armored Core. It's A.N.I.M.O. I have a bunch of his figurines and books here. I love his stuff. So I'm super excited to play that. I just got into the FromSoft games, the recent ones like Elden Ring and Sekiro. I wasn't a big Dark Souls fan, but the newer games are very good, so I expect that their new take on the Armored Core franchise is gonna be super nice. Okay, it feels stubby, feels heavy. I'm gonna attach the leg to the pelvis part that we did. Just changing stuff. So we got a cool stance. Not blocking the shoulder. I still feel that this is too small. Like it's not narrow. It's too narrow. It's not wide enough. So either we just scale things or add to it, to have like a super wide body. And right now I'm thinking of like the frame of it. I'm not thinking about the armor plate. We'll do that later. Kind of joint here for the arms, and then like some big arms. Just blocking
He
it
says
in.
that he's upset that your PFP doesn't have a VR headset on for Twitch.
Yeah, you should. Maybe at some point I'll do face cam or have a VTuber avatar. It'd be pretty cool. But I feel like face cam is a bit useless because I have a VR headset the whole time and it's just me waving my arms around, so it's not super interesting. Alright, something like this. It's crooked, it's not a big deal, fix it later. And some hands. Oops, new layer.
Hey, welcome in, Wicklander. Scoom. I don't know how to pronounce.
Oh, we got drink too in here.
Drinks here.
Mr. More Water. Let's go with some normal hands. There you go. Okay. Now proportions are out of whack, but I got my trusty move tool, and we're gonna scale stuff and then move it around so we got like a cool stance and the right proportion for a design. What helps too is having a floor so that we have something to stand on, so we get the stance right. Stance is very important to design. Back to move tool. We're gonna plant the feet. Something like this. Okay. Right now I feel like the body's a bit flat. Like it's very straight. Like this view, the silhouette is very interesting, but on this view it's a little bit boring. So we're gonna start remedying that. Maybe add like a big backpack or something. Move all of this part forward. belly part is a bit too big. I'm trying to have a small torso, big top, big arms. Okay.
When asked, will you do a video on how you do the materials / texture of your VR sculpts?
Sure, we can go in detail later. I usually do it at the end of the stream, off stream, but if that's something that's interesting for people, yeah, definitely. I can go in some detail here with just in medium. So basically, you got the paint tool, and if I press the B button, I have all my colors, right? And I can also color pick from stuff. So I can color pick from the images I have here. So if I double tap the B button, I have a color picker, and then I can go like I want this color right here, and then I can paint was the same color. Just for example, right? I can color pick this and I paint it here. But start
Welcome
with
in, Force.
nice neutral gray, and then you can paint stuff, and then you can also paint, directly on the mesh. It's not my favorite because it does with the resolution. So if the layer is low resolution, the paint is a bit wonky, right? And if the layer is higher resolution, it gets cleaner, but it's still a bit wonky. So what I like to do is having each layer have their own color. So for example, I'll do it later, but if I have, let's say, something like this, and color pick this color, and then I have these two, right? So I have the color different on the two layers, so I know that the edge is like super sharp. But yeah, so you can paint with color. You can have different materials for your layers. So I can have something metal, right? They're shiny, or I can have something emissive, so that it's like a light, right? And have glowy stuff. We'll add all of these at the end so that it's super shiny, but for now I'm just thinking of like what's the shape of what I'm trying to do and the overall proportions. I want to make sure this is right before we go more in detail, because you can always fix it later and change it later, but like it's faster now because the layer are low resolutions and it's quick to change. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Oops. Center bounds around this layer, so when I scale, it scales from the middle. And then manipulation, I'm just gonna move the whole floor down so that it lines up with the feet. There you go. Alright, back to moving stuff. With my move tool, I have the inner radius. So you see the middle box gets smaller or bigger. And if I put it to 100, the whole box is going to be able to move stuff. So I can just grab stuff and then move it independently from the middle mirror plane. Because if I just grab my layer and I try to move it, I can't move it symmetrically. It's tied to the middle, right? But if I use my move tool, I can grab it and then move it like this. So I can grab my whole layer and then scale it up and down with my thumbstick and then move it, so I get like a nice nice stance. Just looking back in my ref, I think this is even wider than this guy. I think we're going to go really wide. I'm starting to get a cool silhouette on the side too, from the back. It's important to design for like all different angles. In VR, it's super easy. You can just turn your model around and then look at it from all your different angles. So it's easy to design a cool silhouette from the top, and then from the front, and then from the side, and see everything at once. And then back to my move tool, but I'm gonna drop the inner radius a little bit so I can just grab stuff and then move it. Even maybe this section doesn't need the belly part. It can be just the top and then have this as the belly. And we'll connect everything together so that it makes sense. Very nice. Just grab the hands. Boom. Trying to figure out the balance of this mech. Make sure that it sits properly on the floor and it's not tilting one way or the other. So I can either add stuff or just move it so that it feels more balanced. But that's all little adjustments that we're gonna make as we go. When I quick select the layers, I swap quickly in between. I go down on the thumbstick, my left thumbstick, and I click on the layer I want. Click here, click here. Right. Like if there's some operations I do that you guys want to know, because for me it's kind of second nature, so I don't think about it. I'm trying to explain everything. It's a bit tricky to do, but please just ask questions. The Force says maybe you will do legs later. Yeah, I mean, I did a video yesterday that's doing quite well on Twitter where I sculpted the whole leg guy, and I can definitely do just a quick render, but the whole video I filmed it and I edited it.
Sam says thanks for getting me back into medium.
Of course,
and man. He says give it a third leg and we'll be even.
Okay. Alright, so I think we got a pretty good base down. Feels heavy. Feels solid. Stance is good. Big arms, small legs, big torso. That's what we wanted. Oh, maybe a head. We did do a head. Just gonna block it in for now. The head is like a whole other sculpt by itself because it's so characteristic. Like there's a lot of emotion between the with the head, so we'll spend more time later. But for now, just something square like this. And place it somewhere. Like what's good with VR is you can move it around and then see like what feels right. You know? Is he hunched over looking down, or is he all the way back here looking silly? I don't like that. You know? Is it too small, too big? I think for me, I like something like this where it's kind of hunched over. Or it's like a scraggly neck, you know. So this is good for now. I'm just gonna hide my mirror plane because it's in the way, so I'm gonna lock it and then just hide it, but it's still there. Same for this spinny thing, the lathe tool. I'm gonna lock it and hide it, so I get just the mech to work with. Alright, so this is like our block-in phase, right? Now we can start to give it a bit more resolution and then just start making decisions on like where do we want detail. I'm not detailing a lot. I'm just indicating where I would want the detail. And I'm placing the detail basically around where I want people to look. So the face, I'm gonna detail the arms a lot. But for example, I'm not gonna put a lot of focus on, you know, the belly or the legs, because I want the focus of this piece to be the top, right?
Or said, can you make shadows and highlights like how you would paint a miniature?
So the lights come from the top, backside spot. There's more light color from below. You can light it with the trusty light that's up here. You know, I can move my light around. That's pretty cool. See, I can also see now my light is just sitting here in space, right? So if I turn, it's always going to be lit the same way. But I can also tie my light to a layer. So then if I move, my light's always coming from this side. Right? But for now, since I'm just sculpting, I want stuff to be lit uniformly, so I just let my light be up here and have something neutral. And then whenever I render and I do my material pass and all that stuff, that's where I change the lighting, so have something like dramatic and control even more where the people are looking, right? Because if you put a light like right here, like it points at something, you're like, hey, look here, right? If I point my light, you know, here, it's got, hey, look here. So that's how I like control even more where I want the focus of the piece to be. Whenever I do these like first small detail pass, I'm just up-resing my layer a little bit, increasing the resolution to like have more clay to work with. But I don't want to go too high resolution, because again it'll slow down my speed. I want to keep things quick. Something like this. I'm gonna try to figure out now where my stuff attaches. So like where this attaches to the arms, right? So maybe we got a shoulder joints that is about here. And this attaches to this arm that's here. I can always take my layers, stretch them, you know, make it bigger, make it smaller. And since we're still very low resolution, it's easy to make those quick changes. If I had a whole bunch of details and a whole bunch of like clean layers, it'd be a bit harder to just modify everything at once. I'm chopping big sections to remove some of the artifacts that I had when I sculpted something super loose. And I'm gonna indicate like where my joints are supposed to go, you know, so that there's enough clearance for the joints to sit in, and so it feels believable. I'll take my trusty round brush and I'll figure out where I want my stuff to attach, right? Something like here. Same for this. I want it to attach to the same joint, right? So I'm just gonna make a round shape. So if I isolate my layer, I have something here. Indication of a joint. You can always make all those joints tighter and very functional looking afterwards, but for now we're just indicating where it's gonna go. Still just blocking stuff. Alright, this is cool. Vic says looking good already. Thanks, man. Trying to make it as cool as we can. I like this big backpack thing. And we have a big backpack, but later maybe we'll figure out what the purpose is. So maybe we'll put like, you know, missiles in here, or maybe we'll put you know, big guns, stuff like that. But for now it's like, oh, I want something here. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know I want something here. Increase the resolution on this joint part. Clean it up a little. Stretching it around our big joint here. Kind of indicating some detail.
Alonzo asked a very important question. Do you have a favorite Gundam?
Ooh, I have a couple.
Tough one.
I got a couple. I really like the Shin Musha Gundam. It's like a samurai Gundam. It's pretty sick. I like the Ball Gundam a lot. It's just a big ball with 2 arms. It is pretty silly, but I like it a lot. And also like Crossbone Gundam. It's like the pirate one. He has like, you know, small knives. It's pretty cool. Like most Gundams have big swords, and then this guy just have like 2 combat knives, kind of like the Evangelion one. So I like that. The Shin Musha and Crossbone are a bit cheesy, but like it's my inner child that just likes, you know, pirates and samurai stuff. So. Oops, not on the right layer. I like the red frame ashtray a lot too. I have the perfect grade of it. It took me like a week to build with my wife. It was a lot of fun. It was like 1 billion pieces. But again, another like samurai looking one, you know.
You said very you appropriate answers.
Yeah, thank you. All right, starting to be detailed. We just move from piece to piece, and we keep going until we're happy with what we have. Cleaning up those wonky edges, adding stuff where we think it should look good. Make sure it's all the same gray. Big section here I don't really like. I'll just take it away. Boom. Something like this. Kind of needs a backbone to hold everything together, right? Because now all these pieces are floating and they're not attached to each other, so it's important that we have everything attached. So we'll just add some like backbone element so that it attaches to the top. Boom. And it attaches to the midsection and the pelvis. Indicating where we would want to put stuff later on. And when I'm doing that, I'm just making big holes or big bumps. Later on, I'll be like, okay, now I want a screw here. I want a, you know, a lever or some kind of hatch door. Okay. Feels like it needs some kind of plating here, or like, you know, big element. Something like this, right? That's cool. Get some Bob Ross type accidents that we like, and just go with it. stretch things and be like, oh yeah, I like this, I keep it. I don't like it, I just remove it. Easy enough. Okay, got our backbone thing here. Okay, cool. Now the pelvis part. When you hover over a layer and you hover with this button, you see the size of the squares, right? That's the resolution of the layer. So I see my squares are very big, and I know the resolution is pretty low. See, like it's janky. The geometry is janky. So I'm just gonna select it, give more resolution. So now when I sculpt on it, it's a bit cleaner.
Drink has a question for the A.N.I.M.O collection. Favorite weapon of the one you created for our collection, and favorite overall mech?
Ooh, I really like the. I don't know the name, but I should know the name. I know I made it, but it's the one that looks like this, right?
The one that we have on the chicken collectible.
Yeah, exactly. It's
let me think.
The railgun looking one.
Yeah, it looks like a railgun. You're right. And then overall mech, favorite mech combo, I guess, that you made.
I mean, it would probably be my admin mech, because when we did the collection, Magic was like, choose your favorite part, and then we're gonna make your mech out of it. So I'm gonna be like, oh, I'll make the thickest, widest mech I can. So it's the 6 legs, like the big ones like this, and then with the double this, and then the super wide top.
Nice. It's called the Skyhammer.
Yes, the guns, the Skyhammer. That's right. I remember it. I put the name on the box of the toy, so I should know.
Yeah, that's right. We did.
Okay, so trying to figure out where my leg will attach to my pelvis with my round brush. The reason why I don't add too much detail right away is because stuff like that, right? It'll clip if I'm trying to make big adjustments, so we'll just remove it for now. We'll add it back later. Make sure this attaches. Make sure there's enough volume to the leg so that we have a good looking joint. Think bigger like this. The hip joint usually like a ball joint, so we can always indicate that there's a ball joint in here, but for now it's okay. We'll go cleaner with all the joint stuff later.
Nick asked the question, do you ever smooth stuff out with the smooth tool?
I do, yes. Whenever I want to make some organic-ish looking mech, I can smooth it. So let's say I make a shape like this, right? I can use my smooth tool either with the selection of the smooth, or if you have the brush, it's the index finger to smooth. And then you have like a rounder looking shape. And then after that you can go in and like make clean square cut in it, or like angular cuts in it, so you have like a good contrast between the two. It's looking a bit like Machine and Krieger, right? Those who know, but the contrast of the square and the organic is very cool. I prefer just blocky stuff, but like that's just like personal taste. But yeah, if you want to make a mech that's more organic, that's perfect. Or if you just do organic sculpting, like dinosaurs or faces or whatever, smooth is super useful. I also use it sometimes to get rid of some detail that I don't like. So maybe for example, if I make a hole in this, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this hole. I can fill the hole back up, but it's still not smooth. So I can just take my smooth tool and then smooth the intersection, and then it's like I never touched it. Or like if I make a correction on the shape of an element here, it's like something's weird here. I can always smooth it, and it'll look a bit cleaner. Yeah. But sometimes like the hard edge is nice. Okay, legs. Okay for now. Maybe later we'll add like a big plate on it. Like on this image, it was pretty cool how he did the legs. Like there's a whole inner frame and then there's a big plate on top of it. I kind of like that, so maybe we'll do that later. But we're still at the skeleton part of the design, or like the frame part. Give more resolution on the arms. Indicate where we want stuff to go. Some more volume in here.
Moose asked, do you ever animate any of your creations?
Not often. I'm not great at animating, and I also find it a bit tedious because I have to link everything together. But I've done it with stuff like what's it called, A.N.I.M.O, where you just upload your whole model and then you animate it. Or if it's a simpler animation sometimes, but to rig a whole thing, I don't find it fun. But if people like my stuff and they're like, oh, I want to animate your thing, go for it. Like, it's fantastic. But it's a job that I don't enjoy particularly, and it's a whole technique by itself. Like there's people that are just animators, right? And they spend all their time, like basically all their skill point went into animating, and all my skill points went into the concept phase. You gotta choose. You can't be great at everything. But maybe I should, because the animation it adds a lot of life to a design. I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm just gonna make some like quick blocking on the arms just to see if some stuff would look better, right? Like, do I want something like this? Do I want like big bars? That would be pretty cool. Do you want some packs? This, I don't know. Yeah, so far I think I like the big bars a lot, so we're just gonna indicate some type of rebar thing going on here.
And a question on Twitch from our
Yep.
username Darky. How often do you run out of VRAM or ever at all, as the designs are getting more complex with lots of layers and more voxel resolution?
Very good question. In medium, you have 150 layers maximum that you can use, right? I'm trying to keep everything under 150 layers, and if I do go above that, I'll start merging stuff together to make sure I have enough VRAM. And one way to have smooth experience on like scaling and turning is to manage the resolution of each layer, right? So right now I could have this part super high res and very, very detailed, but it would slow down my whole pipeline. So I'm trying to keep stuff low as much as I can, and then whenever I need the resolution, for example, if I need to make like super clean bolts or super clean detail, then I'll upres it. But I won't upres the whole sculpt. I'll upres like the part that I need to be high res, like controlling where I put my detail, right? And you can kind of trick the eye of people to believe that your sculpt is higher res than it is if like your example, if your details are super sharp and you put stuff that's like very recognizable, like a bolt on top of something, now this part looks like it's very detailed, but only this is high resolution, right? So later on, that's why I'm doing this in phases. Like I sketch my thing pretty loose, and then when I refine the design, then I upres it, and then I put more detail on it so that it looks sharper. And then by the end, it will be so detailed that you don't know which layer are high res and which layer are low res. Hope that helps. All right, moving on to this forearm. Trying to get a little bit of cleaner shape. Kind of like this element, so we'll bring it on the forearm as well, maybe in the back here. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Remove some of it. We'll attach it properly. I'm gonna beef up the joint part so I make sure that there's enough room for my elbow joint, I guess, to fit into here and to fit into here. So there's a hole, right? Slots everything together. I think that's one of the most important part of mech design, is to make it look like everything is assembled together and then it's like fitting together. And it's not just floating elements, and it's not like weird looking junctions. All right. Vic says also some of the details can come from the materials in your render. Yeah, absolutely. You can have stickers and decals and stuff like that to make your mech look even more detailed, right? Okay, let's say if I have something. I approach it just like the Gundam design, right? You can have, you know, a decal pass where you add little stuff here and there, and it'll look more complex, but the geometry is still the same. Don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but it would be cool to hear about how it is to work for a big brand like Gotham Knights. This is tricky. I'm actually not able to talk about it, but I can say it was very fun. Like just doing some Batman stuff. Like it's great. It's an IP that I love, and they're like, "Hey, design a Batmobile for us." Like you got it. You know, I'm paid for this. Awesome. I just love it. It's super fun. But it's always a little bit tricky to answer those questions because every time I have to go through the legal team at Warner to be able to say like, oh, I can answer this and I cannot answer that. So I'll keep my answer vague. But it is very fun. So. All right. Indicate where I want my detail to go. And I'm trying to not distribute my detail evenly. Like, I'm trying not to do this. Right? I'm trying to focus my detail around areas that are cool. So the joint is cool. The joint here next to the next to the hand is gonna be cool. Like I'm trying to focus my detail on the edges of stuff rather than just spamming it in the middle. Right? When you do something like this, it dates your detail and it looks older and not as modern. It'll make it look a bit, 70s sci-fi or 90s sci-fi, like Stargate, which is not a bad thing if that's what you're trying to do. But for now, this is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make something, sleek and cool looking. But if you're trying to do something older looking, like old sci-fi, this is how you would do it. You'd use a lot of like 75-degree angles, and like this shape. Yeah. I'm trying to have kind of my own flavor of shapes and design. Stuff that I see and then I like, absorb it, and I try to recreate it later. This is a big chunk and I don't want to add too much on top. I'll probably remove some and then to figure out like the overall shape, we'll add more like frame part on top of it later. So I'll just like indicate some internals, some under frame stuff. People on Twitch, is the volume of the music good? Is it too loud? Not loud enough? Let me know. It's already looking pretty cool.
Says it seems fine.
Okay, great. Question on Twitch. Any more collabs come along with bots in our game? Yes, we're planning to do more collabs. For now, we're just focusing on having a game to put the collabs in. But yeah, there's some plans. We already have some partners in mind that we reached out and have something cool. Don't worry about it. Okay. Hands and feet, and then backpack maybe, and then we'll go to the next phase of the design. I'm doing on time, an hour. Yeah, it's good. Upres this. Indicate the junction in between the knee and the calf muscle. Again, I don't want too much accent on the legs, so I'm not gonna make them like crazy cool. Like I'm just gonna make them good enough. I'll keep my focus on the arm, but I still want it to look decent. So. Make sure we have some, space for the joint. Boom. Wrong layer. Indicating stuff. Putting our joint right here. Joint right here. Boom, boom. Looks like it's doing something, It's like, oh shit, it's cool. It's mechanical. That's all we need. We'll have more bolts in here later. Feet. Usually how I like to do the feet is I'll duplicate it and then I'll move it to the middle so that it's symmetrical. And then I'll just design my feet. I know it's the same shape, it's the same volume, so I'll design my feet separate. You can do it directly there if you want something asymmetrical. If you want like a big toe and then a smaller toe. But for now, well, for this design, I like the fact that it's like very wide and planted and feels heavy, The fact that it's symmetrical, it reinforces the fact that it's stable. Cut the flat part so I know it's nice and flush on the ground. Like this. I won't bother too much with the underneath of the feet. You can do it if you plan to show the feet, but for what we're doing right now, we're not gonna see the bottom. It's just gonna be flat on the ground. So, you can add a whole bunch of stuff. Would be cool. Like if it's kicking, right? Oops. If your mech is kicking, you'll see it. But for us, we don't care much. Joint. Add a big joint here so it connects to the leg, and then add some joints here so that the middle part connects to the toes, I guess. Right. Connections, super important.
Asked, let's say you were making something for work. How much more time are you spending on a design? Is it still this fluid and then a modeler fixes stuff for you, or do you spend more time fleshing things out?
It depends on what time do I have to make something. If they say you have a week to make something, I'll spend a week on it. If they say you have a day to make something, I'll spend a day. So if I'm allowed to have a week, I'll spend a week on it, and then by the end it's going to be very tight. But if they need something very quick, like, oh, we have a meeting with these people, and then we need something quick. You have a day. I'll make something in a day. I'll make it as detailed as I can. But for most of the time, somebody will come and then finish not finish, but refine the geometry so that it's able to be used in game. Because this is too heavy in resolution to be used as is. My job is still a concept artist, and it's just to make a visual. Like, before I use this, or even 3D in general, I was just drawing. So I would give my drawing to a 3D modeler, and it would have to remodel all of it. So now I can give a model to a 3D modeler, and he already has something to start with. So that there's less, room for messing things up, I guess. All right, cool feet. Leg. The joint here is not super accurate. Like, if I were to like flip this, it would probably extend, I'd probably need more clearance in this part, but we can just assume that this inner part extends with like a piston, and it's like on a swivel. You can always justify everything mechanical if you have enough time to show it. These feet maybe are a bit small. Let's try to see if I can make something bigger. How does it feel? Yeah, this looks better, bigger. Merge these two together. Bring back my mirror and plant it firmly on the ground. Yeah, that feels better. And then let's adjust this. Boom. Oops. Not enough clearance, right? But again, like, we can get very tied up in all this joint stuff, but we can figure stuff out later. Okay. Pelvis still a bit naked. Maybe you need some, something here.
Shirakuma Kev on Twitch had a question. It's cool how you avoid using too many custom brushes. Beveled square doing work. Do you use custom ones later when finishing?
I do, yes. I have a bunch. This is like my own packs. I have my fundamentals, which I use just to sculpt and block stuff out. But there's some detailing elements in there too, like I don't know, stuff like this, right? But just for blocking out, I'm just sketching, and like when I was drawing all the time, I almost only use a square brush. So I'm kind of thinking the same way when I approach sculpting. And if I need to make a round shape, then I'll pick a round brush. This fundamentals pack is like something I designed for myself because I was thinking, I wish I had a square brush, but it was beveled and not a cube, something with direction. So there's direction to it, right? But yeah, I have a bunch of like more custom stuff that I can add later on, and also have my detail brushes where later on, yes, I'll go in and then put a lot of like cooler detail. Um, this is really easy to get carried on, so I'm trying to get like a good base before I spam all of this stuff. Steve, is it the fundamentals pack preset shape? No, this is my own pack, but it's easy to find online. On my ArtStation and Gumroad, they're free. Just grab it. But yeah, this is like my favorite brushes to use. I have this one for my bolts and joints and stuff like that, and I have the square ones. There's a couple different square ones. Like this one's round. This one, the bevel is like this is a chamfer. This is a bevel, or the other way around. I don't remember. And also, stuff for decoration bolts. But the stage we're in still blocking, so I'm not using too many custom brushes. I'll go in later and then definitely add more. Yeah, I did build it for myself. Just because the default ones are okay, but there's too many and I don't have time to look through everything. Like they don't do what I want them to do, so I made something that was like, okay, I need this shape. Like I need something that's repetitive like this, so I can be able to make like a bunch of vents all at once, or like I need this knob thing because I was designing something. It's like I often need a knob shape, so I'll just make a knob brush. Or this one, like the two spheres to make like cables. Because I would often grab just a round brush and then do a cable and then do a cable right next to it. So I'm like, fuck, why not make a brush that's two cables? And I'm like, oh, why not make a brush that's 4 cables, right? So I can make flat, like electronics cables like this. Or what else? Yeah, these kind of cuts. Let's make a cleaner piece. But like, it looks like this. So it's cutting twice. It's cutting the big one and then a smaller chunk in it. So there's like some cool detail in there. You're like, oh, it looks more complicated than it is. Yeah, repeating stuff, triangles, stuff to make like gun barrels and triggers for guns. Because I was designing a lot of guns, I'm like, oh, I need a trigger all the time, so I don't want to sculpt it every time. I'll just make a trigger brush. And it's like it's wider, but then I just cut it at the right size. Yeah, and then stuff like this, because sometimes you're like, oh, I need a cut line. I need something small. I don't need the whole big brush. And yeah, stuff for like links. But yeah, that's my pack of stuff. Most of the time I'm using the round screw brush and then just a cube, not cube, but like a square brush, and then a ground, a ground brush. Make the base. Yeah, that's about it. How much freedom does the modelers have with your design? Do you have last word on what ships? I don't. I have input, but I don't have a last word. The last word goes to the art director or the game director. But I can work in tandem with the modeler, but it's not my job to be like redo everything. I don't like it. Like I definitely want to work with them to help them make the best looking thing. And it's very cool when you work with a 3D modeler that's able to take your design and then make something even better. Like that's awesome. You just give them, oh yeah, this is kind of one I like. You know, there should be some detail in here, and then they make something very, very polished and refined. There's always deviation from the concept, but it depends on the modeler, right? So people that work close with me, so like in house, that are well in house in the studio, they will be able to have more creative freedom. And then if it's outsourced, then it's probably closer to what I'm designing. But then I have to spend the time to make everything clear. I can't indicate stuff. Like I can't leave stuff loose like this because they'll just model exactly this, right? I need to come in and make some like very sharp, precise details, so that it's clear for them when they're modeling. All right, looking cool. We got the hand, and that's about it. Just go quickly. Should have a joint like somewhere around here. We'll probably change like the pose of it later down the line. Yeah. Kind of like this. Press it a little bit. I'll indicate some joints in the fingers. Let's be a bit more precise. So something like this. And some kind of plate. And joints here for the thumb. And then maybe just some quick bolts in there. Yeah, good enough. I probably need, something here to attach the wrist. Just indication for now. But like, it kind of looks like it's working, so that's good enough for now. There we go. It's probably a little bit weak. You probably need some like thicker wrists, because if you slap someone with like big hands like this, your wrist's gonna snap. So probably should be bigger. What if we do something like this, right? Yeah, that's better. Okay. Let's remove this. Duplicate.
To be honest, when you're creating art for yourself, what kind of stuff do you like to create?
This. Yeah. Yeah, I like making mechs. I made a whole career out of it. So yeah, that's why I enjoy to do. I'll also like making monsters and dinosaurs and stuff like that. I'm not as good. I'm better doing mecha stuff, but I enjoy making mechs a lot. It's a bit. Not sure. I don't like that. Let's go back. Let's go back to this. what's going on with these hands. It's a tough problem. How did they do it? You're stuck, you just look at, you know. Well, this guy has guns for hands, so that solves the problem, you know? This guy has tiny hands. This guy... Can we do this? Just to hide our problems away. Yeah, that works. Okay. Like, yeah, I don't want to do a complex, crazy looking joint, so I'll just hide it with some stuff on top. So let's do that. And take this shape that we had. There you go. That's okay. All right. The face we'll leave for later. Okay, so now that we have our whole thing blocked in, detailed-ish, it's time to add more complexity to it and then more functionality to it. So what I like to do is take the same layer, and there's different ways to approach it, so I'll show you a couple different things. You can duplicate it, right? And let's grab this color, maybe darker. So both layers on top of each other. If I scale this a little bit, and then I offset it, now it kind of feels like a shell. So if I delete stuff from it, there's something below, right? So I can come in, and then where I had my indications of detail, I can remove some of the frame part so that it reveals the underside of it, right? And then whenever there's some parts that I don't like, I'll just erase it. So I know I want some detail in here. I'll just cut away at my like shell layer, and then until I have just like a nice shell on top of my frame, right? So let's go in here, remove some of this. Oh, thanks for stopping by, Steve. Glad I could answer some of your questions. Okay. So a cool shell on top of my thing. And if I don't like the intersection, well, you know, just cut away at it until you have something that looks sharp enough for you, and then you can add back in at some spots that you need, you know. You can add stuff here. Something weird's happening here, and then instead of trying to figure out what's the proper, you know, intersection of the two, you can just make something on top of it, right? So maybe just block out this whole section. Like nothing is set in stone. You can always change stuff however you want. And then I have stuff below. Go like this, right? It's when I start to add more and then remove more. So our base layer was super important because we're building everything on top of it. And then you go back and forth with the two layers, removing, adding, you know, adding some stuff. This feels nice. Maybe this is holding like a bigger module, right? That's pretty cool. And we're starting to add like our secondary shapes. And by that I mean we have our, you know, torso, but then what attaches to our torso? Do we have like small packs? Do we have you know, boosters or antennas or, you know, secondary modules? Okay, so I'll do a pass on everything pretty quick, and then we'll adapt from there. Same thing, duplicate the base layer and then scale it a little bit, give it more volume, and then remove the parts that we don't like, or the parts that we want to show are attaching to the frame part. I know there's a detail here. I know there's a detail here. I want to attach this backpack, so I'm not attaching with the shell, I'm attaching with the frame, right? It's like the frame is connected to the frame of the torso. Like this is the skin that goes above it. So he's peeking through, so either I adapt my shell on top of it, or I can delete some of my frame too. Add some stuff back. Show that it's connecting. Oops. Make sure on your right layer too when you do this. It's two different elements. Very nice. Move some of this. And then another way to do a shell on top of what you're trying to detail is you do it with a mask. Well, quotation mark masks. You make a new layer. Let's go like this, and then you layer it on top of what you're trying to make a shell of, and you're only paying attention to the intersection in between the two layers, right? So what overlaps. And then what you do is you have your base layer, you duplicate your base, you shift select both of these layers, and then you go intersect, right? So then the intersection in between the two shapes is this, right? So if I take that shape I just made and then I pull it, now I have like a shell part. That's only the intersection that was in between my frame and shell. And then same thing, you just remove what you don't like and then add what you want. Oops. Give a bit more clearance here. I'm just gonna swap the colors in between. I just want higher contrast in between my frame and my shell. So I'm just gonna pick a darker color. And then I have a piece here. Yeah, I just want a higher contrast, basically. So I'm gonna paint all of these darker. And by accident I painted on the same layer, so I'm just gonna delete that. There we go. We've been going for over an hour, so let me just take a sip of water and I'll be back in just a sec. All right. Will the VOD be up after I miss the start? Yes. So I'll record everything and then post it on YouTube afterwards too. But yeah, it's important to take breaks, especially when you're doing VR, because you get lost, you forget time, and then you just work for 3 hours, and then your legs are numb, you're dehydrated, you have a headache. So take breaks. Every hour or so, I try to take my headset off, look around, drink water, stuff like that. Okay, so I showed you how to duplicate stuff and then make a shell out of it. I showed you the intersection, and then the third way is just straight up sculpt whatever you need. So I can just make panels out of stuff like this, right? Can stretch it. Oop. Right. Then it's important to attach your panel to your frame so that it's not just floating. There you go. So step 1, make the frame. Step 2, make the shell. Our third step later on is going to be to make the extra bits that fit in between the two, right? To add more complexity, and then we'll have like probably a different color. So it's like our third elements. For now, we don't have a lot more shell stuff to do. Let's block in something here, and then like, how do I choose in between the 3 techniques of you know, the duplicate, the intersection, or just the sculpt. Well, it's like whatever is fastest to achieve. Like if I see something that has a flat surface and I know I want a flat surface out of it, I'll just duplicate it. If I know I want something that's like more custom and I don't see that shape there, I'll just make it. Attach it. What's good with VR too is like you can really get into your design or whatever you're trying to sculpt and then get real precise with the placement of stuff. Like doing this in ZBrush or any other 3D software like Blender, it'd be a pain to do because you'd have to isolate stuff and then, you know, figure out where the thing goes. But with VR, you can just do like, oh, I need a bolt inside of this. Well, let me just go inside of this and then put my, you know, bolt wherever I need. Like it's super easy. Alright, this is cool. I kind of want something in here, but I'm not too sure, so I'll just make a new layer and I'll sketch it before, you know, like, do I want something like this? Do I want like a big panel? Do I want like this? I think the kind of bony, like rib cage looking ones are pretty cool. So let's do that. Now that I know what I want to do, I can make it, you know, more deliberately. Isolate this just to make it thinner. Make sure it attaches properly. And I'm not sold on this angle here. It's looking better. There we go. Alright, this is cool. Forgot to paint this. Vic. Yeah, nice stopping by, Vic. Thanks. Alright. For this part, probably we'll do the duplication method. We'll go a bit more and then we'll remove and we'll adapt. I want to show the cool stuff that's happening here. Remove all of this. Make sure the shapes look good. Make sure stuff is not clipping or intersecting with each other. And looking good from every angle. Okay, nice. Then the arm will probably do the same thing as we did here. And maybe he just needs plating on the outside, right? He doesn't need plating on the inside of his arm, because that's what's exposed to the well, the bullets and the environment. So, a new layer. I'm gonna mark where I want my plate to go. Kind of follow the shape of this loosely. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. You can always like chop away at it after. It's like I kind of want something here. Duplicate, intersect, boom, just pop it out. Paint. Do you ever get option paralysis and start saving out different version idea, or are you always moving forward the existing design? Yeah, I do. If there's something that I like and I'm not sure if I want to save it or not, I'll probably just duplicate a version out of it and then just put it here, and then I'll work on this. And if I don't like this, I know I have a backup. I just can put it back in, you know. Like I can iterate on design and then have like, you know, if I have a head, I'm like, okay, this is my base head. I'll work on something here and be like, okay, let's make a head. Like, oh no, okay, this is looking silly. Fuck that head. I'm just gonna put this one back. Oh, we got not Ben 99 in chat. Thanks for stopping by, bro. Okay, we're doing this part, so I'm gonna remove some part here, just so that there's clearance for that bar here. And then be more deliberate of like where I want stuff to attach. What's the shape of it? So that's kind of a like happy accident. We'll leave it there. It's cool. And then probably something on top here. And some more clearance here too. See, it makes a really nice panel because we're using the existing shape we already had. This stretch, duplicate the base, intersect it too, and pop it out. Paint. Attach it. Just going back and forth between the two. Because like sometimes you work on something here, and then you look back at your design and you're like, this part, something doesn't work, and you need to go and fix it. Having some sorry, the word in English doesn't come, but like having some, to see it from far away, or like to spend time not looking at it, that's where you notice the the imperfection or like the problems with your design.
Sand in French then, because that's obviously what you're thinking.
Du recul, like distance or you know, not hindsight. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Jedion says perspective, question mark?
Yeah, I guess, exactly.
I don't know. Maybe we have some French speakers in chat.
I don't know. Is Alfred here? Okay. This is cool. I think we're ready for the head. Maybe something in the back here. Just so like his butt is not super exposed. You know? A donk? Yeah, he definitely does have a donk now. Make sure it looks like it's attaching properly. I know I'm saying it a lot that stuff needs to attach, but like it's so important. It makes the whole thing looks like it's functional and believable and happens in the real world, because stuff's just floating and it feels fake. I want our robot to look real, even if it's fake. There you go. School. Gideon said, as a Canadian, we learned French until about grade 6, but that was 30 years ago for me. Yeah. Only in Quebec do we learn French at birth, and then English afterwards. Speaking of attaching, the head is folding, so let's attach it. Some kind of turkey neck. It's kind of cool. Actually, now I have an idea. Maybe this is empty, and like this head has some kind of mech turkey stuff going on. So like cables, or you know, this would be cool. I like this. All right, let's make a cool head. Yeah, Gideon. But the French in Montreal is like it's not real French. It's it's a weird French. So even if you learn it properly in school and then you come over here and people on the street just talk to you, you're like, what the fuck are you saying? Alright, now this head is gonna sell our whole design, so we're gonna make sure it doesn't look silly. And well, it is gonna be a turkey, so it's gonna be a little bit silly, but we need to make sure that it looks good. So I'm gonna spend a bit of time. So what we're gonna do is what I was saying before, just duplicate it and then work on it here. Or actually work on it here. I mean, something cool here. It's looking a bit like Rob from Smash. Now, decisions. Do we want like one big eyeball? Like one eyeball? Do we want like 3? Is this on this layer? Is the pilot a turkey? I mean, maybe the pilot's in here. I prepared a frog earlier, but you know, maybe we can add a turkey. It's fully covered. Actually, now if we really embrace the turkey design, right? Maybe the head is not this way. Maybe it's this way, and it's like a, you know, that's pretty cool actually. It's you know, beak looking thing.
Yes, have you ever designed a two-person mech?
2-person? I mean, like as a 2 pilots. Okay. I made a mech with 5 pilots, if that counts. But 2, I don't know. I made some like two-person spaceship, but mechs I don't think I did. But yeah, I made the unit for 2T's collab where it had 5, so Power Rangers. Is this cool? Do we like this? It's a bit dinosaur-y, which is not bad. Is it too big? Or a small head? Do we want like like a tall flat head? This would be cool too. Let's merge these two. This is kind of cool. Looks mean. I like it.
That's what Not Banned said. He said that's menacing.
Yes, it's like Rolk's helmet, you know. It does have like a eyeball situation over here. Like the head is a design by itself. Like you can change the whole personality of the mech if you make something round, if you make something pointy. So I just want to make sure I spend enough time on it. I'm gonna add 1 light for the eyeball. Boom. Phil needs a giant gun on its back so it can lean forward on its arm and fire and brace and fire a BFG. Yeah. Definitely would be cool to have some, you know, this kind of situation. Like, this would be pretty cool. Can definitely tackle that later on. Now I just gotta make this turkey neck look good. What if he has a bar on the back of his head? Would that look good or would that look stupid? Oh, that's stupid. Kind of like the fact that his head is like recessed into the shoulder. And should we make the head the same color as the body? Have the whole shell situation going on too here.
The contrast of it.
Yep. No. I like this better. There's more contrast if it's contrasting. Like if this contrasts with this, you see it more, and if you have the same color, it just blends in more. So I kind of like this better. All right, cool. There's more. Yeah, thank you for the quote. But you get what I'm saying. Okay. This is cool. Maybe this line goes all the way down the middle. It looks like guts. It's kind of cool. What if there's like hella tubes like this? It's like all the internals and like the, you know. Shit like this. You're like, oh, gross.
It's almost like how Bane has his like power stuff.
Yeah, it's like some fluid going into like some power. Kind of like the fact that it looks like organic, you know, at the same time. It's like everything's squared and then the internal is like something mushy. And like the underbelly. It's kind of cool. I don't know what this stuff. Yeah, okay. I like this. Oh, Mr. Peanut stopping by. It's been a while. Nice to see you. I say Mr. Peanut, but it's KSR. Mr. Peanut is his bird. So.
His bird, yeah.
All right. So we got the overall design blocked in. We got the frame part on top of everything. Oh no, was? Oh, I'm so sorry, man. Sorry for the bird. Sag. F's in chat for Mr. Peanut. I guess they don't live super long. Like, that's sad. Sorry. Quite old? Oh, okay. I mean, unless he lived a good life. He was a good bird. Yeah, so we got the whole blocking down. We got the frame, the shell, and now it's time just to go nuts with the details, the bolts, all the extra little bits. So, you know, figure out where we want the attention to go. detail those parts. So like, I want to focus most of my attention here. The arms are already taking a lot of attention, but like we'll go from here and then we'll like spread it out, you know. So the most detail is this. We'll do a little bolt pass, which is the most fun and satisfying part to do. I'm just gonna make sure that my resolution of my layer is as tight as I can and it grabs everything in my design. So then whenever I do my bolts, they're like pretty sharp, you know? So let's go nuts. Here, we need some here to attach the backpack. We need some here. Boom, boom. That just makes everything look like solid, you know. Indicate some joints. Here. It's a little bit offset, but I'll never see it. Maybe in here. It's like some conduit or something. Definitely some on the head. Trying to think how can I explain where I'm placing those bolts, right? I'm just not spamming them all over the place arbitrarily. I'm thinking about where stuff would attach, right? Like if this was a piece of metal and it would attach to the frame, like you don't just put a bolt in the middle, right? Because it would swivel. You would place it on the edges of stuff and you would distribute it so that it looks like it's, you know, it's not gonna move. So, you know, it feels solid. It feels like it's nicely attached. Here, here. See, I feel like it's like bolted on, pretty solid. It's too big though for the arms. The bolts are too big. And this is too small. There's like some middle. Yeah. Okay, nice. Now we'll pick another brush. This one. It's flat, looks like this. So I can come in here and like make some like cool detailing. This needs more resolution. So again, just looking at the whole design, figuring out where the high intensity like detail is, and then just spread it out. So like right now I see there's a lot of detail right here, and starting to get more here, but here is very bare, here too. So I'm making smaller and smaller shape, and it's like a gradient of the size of the shapes. And I can just go like in between my my layers, like adding more complexity. And some contrast. The tubes. For the leg, maybe we'll whip out our detail brush, give it more resolution again. Start adding stuff. This. Like some mounting points. If you want to attach stuff, like it was, you know, attached to something it was carrying. Try to not get too carried away with these brushes. Like it's easy to just start spamming detail everywhere. I want to be controlled with where I put my thing, and I want overall design to be too noisy. I want a good distribution of noise. This shape here bothers me a bit. Remove some of it. And have something here. Okay. Looking at it from far away, and then up close. I feel like we need more elements on the arms. Like this is very detailed. The arms feel under detailed. So I don't know. Let's try a couple things. You can have something like this. It's a bit too skinny. Something that attaches here. This needs more resolution. Some ticks. Cleaner shapes. Okay. Here too. Alright, this feels more balanced already. And another bar. Would it look cool on the feet too? Yeah. This is not symmetrical. Like I probably moved this and it was offset. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove my mirror, take this, just erase all of it, and then duplicate, flip, and then merge them back together. Now it's symmetrical, it's a line. And then I can make my bar here. Oh, duplicate, flip, merge. Make sure we're back in mirror mode. There we go.
Question in chat, Mr. No Dice, or Miss No Dice. Do you ever use Adobe Modeler or do you prefer Medium?
Substance Modeler. Yeah, yes, I still prefer Medium, just because the tools are simple and it works well, and there's like, it just works better for me. I use Modeler quite a bit, but every time I use it, I get frustrated for some reason. Like, my biggest two gripes with Modeler is the steady stroke. You don't have a slider, you can only turn it on and off, and like the amount is too much. As in Medium, you have a slider, so if you want a lot, you can put a lot. If you want small, you can put small. And the second thing is the angle snap. In Modeler, it's either 90, 45, but I like 15. Like I like to be able to control this and orient it properly. Because with 15 you can do some like nice, not 45 degrees. Like the 45, it gets very blocky very quick. But if you have some 15 degrees in there, it's more subtle, and you can get like cooler looking shapes, especially sideways. Like do stuff like this, right? You get a small, thin looking cool bevel. If it was 45, it would look more blocky and less refined. I don't like that as much. So if Modeler had a steady stroke and the angle snap, I'd probably switch to Modeler. But for now, medium is still way faster. Another thing too, the modeler doesn't have is be able to color pick quickly and swap colors quickly between your layers. So like they don't have the shortcut. In modeler, you have to hover over your hand and then it pops up the window and then you pick the color, or you pick the color picker and then you swap your color. And the painting, I don't know, it feels not as fast, but in medium it's super easy to like for example, color pick this with my brush, my brush tool, color pick this, start doing this, make another layer, color pick this, and then if I want to go in between the two, I color pick and then swap this one, color pick, swap. Like, it's super fast. And in modeler, it's definitely not as fast because every time you have to open up a menu, go this and then click this and then do whatever, and then open your menu, click this and then do this. It's not as streamlined. Like medium is just so simple and so clean. Like everything just works fine. But in modeler, there's some really cool features that I would love to have, like the instancing. It runs super smooth. You can make sculpts with like 1 billion layers in it. You can duplicate stuff really quickly. Like you can take this element and then instead of just duplicating it once and twice, you can make like 5 copies and then all of these be instance. Like it's a really good program too, but I don't know. I feel more comfortable in medium because of these three little features. But yeah, once they update it, I go back every couple weeks, try it out, make something, and then if I feel still not frustrated but like slowed down by the program, I just go back to medium. And if I need to do something for work, I just do it in medium because it's faster. Alright, it's looking pretty cool. I think we can add our third color in there, which kind of hinted was this turkey neck looking color. Maybe the eyeball too. Let's try this. Yeah. Oops. Like he's super mean looking, but his eye's pink. That's cool. Love this. And then we're gonna add this color very sparingly in between everything. So like we want mostly this tan color, some of his dark color as a accent, and then very, very small amount of this pink. So we're gonna be smart about where we put it, right? And all of the spots that we're gonna put it is gonna point that way, right? Kind of doing something like this, right? And we want to distribute it unevenly, but precisely. So here, I think here would be good. And wherever we add this color, it's gonna focus the attention. Oops. It's gonna focus the attention on that part because it's so different that your eye is gonna look through these, right? It's gonna cycle. So if there's a part I don't like, let's say I don't like this foot, right? I'm not gonna put a lot of little pink spot on the foot because right away you're gonna notice it, right? So I'm gonna add only the pink bits on like stuff that I like. Maybe here. Maybe in here. Like there's some cool shit happening in here. Maybe we need a little light like this guy. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe some little highlights here. Some in the back. Let's see, maybe here. Maybe here. See, distribution is nice. Like you look through everything. Maybe here too. That's very uniform though. I don't like that. I like the triangle better. See, triangle. Here. There's a Discord group for Modeler. The team takes suggestions for changes from user. You should join. Yes, I am in this Discord, and I'm also talking to the devs from time to time. I've made this suggestion multiple times, but it's not there. So I don't maybe have other priorities, which is 100% fine. But yeah, I've let them know before. And for the spider mech you did for Gotham Knights, was the whole thing done in medium, or did you add more detail in another program like ZBrush? I did all of it in medium, but it was so complicated that I had to split it in multiple files because I have a limit of 150 layers. So it was probably the most complex sculpt I did. So I had to split it in different files and then assemble everything back afterwards in Keyshot. But it was all done in medium. I really used that as like a not an excuse, but like an opportunity to push medium as far as I could, because I would make sculpts that took me, a day or a week, but the spider mech took me weeks to make. So I really, was like, how far can I push this program? And I think I pushed it pretty far. But yeah, I would love to work more with Substance Modeler. Like, it's a great program. It's just it's still in development, and they're a pretty small team, so I definitely understand that they don't have all the resources that they need to make stuff really fast, really quickly. I'm gonna keep going back and forth with Medium and Modeler until one gets better than the other, and then I just switch. But their team is great. Like, it's basically the same team that made both, so they have the architecture of the program down. That's really good. Now they just need the polish that Medium has, because Medium had years to get polished, but Modeler is very new. Okay, it's looking pretty sick. What time is it? We've been going for over 2 hours, so let me take another quick water break, and I'll be back in just a sec. And then after that, we'll probably just add extra attachments. So, like, are we doing a big gun? Are we doing, fucking lasers and claws? And we'll figure out extra stuff and then wrap it up. But it's already looking pretty solid. Like, Okay, let me just grab my water and I'll be back in a sec. All right. Question from Special Systems. You prefer doing these VR sessions standing or sitting down? Definitely sitting down. Um, I'm not lazy, but I just work sitting down. So some people like working with standing desk. Um, I'm a weak little artist. I need to be sitting down all the time. I don't need to be working on these legs, you know. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, funny story. Like somebody came to the office at some point to film like a promo video, and they're like, "Oh, let's film you. You do work in VR. It looks pretty cool." And they're like, "Can you stand up and sculpt?" I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna be sitting down for this video. I don't wanna. I want to be the show of this star of the show, you know." All right, this is cool. Now let's go back to our sketchy phase, and I think adding like some fucking huge guns, I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Your Gotham Knights work was awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Did you watch the Substance Days presentation last week? They showed an experimental feature where they were using substance material combined with sculpting and new kit bashing options, which could be good for creating something complex like a spider mech. I did not watch the video. I've been using Substance Painter to texture some stuff, and it works really well. Like to paint, it's fantastic. My only issue is I need to decimate all my meshes and make like proper UVs. Well, proper. I need to make UVs to be able to, paint on top. What I like with this workflow is that it's very straightforward. So I just make whatever and then I use Keyshot and then I just slap material on it. I don't need to decimate. I don't need to worry too much about the resolution of my stuff. I can just make something quick and not worry too much about the technical aspect of it. And as far as Kit Bash is concerned, I also use Kit Bash as a technique for this in Medium. Like I have my whole brush selection, but I also have like a Kit Bash library that I made, so I can use all these pieces and then Kit Bash stuff very fast too. I can make something like this and then boom boom. This and this guy, and then you got something pretty detailed pretty fast. It took me 12 seconds to make. This is another workflow that I want to explain later or show. I'm planning, yeah. I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm planning to do like a series of tutorials where I'm gonna demo all of this Kit Bash stuff as well. But it's super powerful. But you can do the same in Medium. You get something really detailed. But the only issue I have with the Kit Bashing workflow is you get too detailed, and it ends up looking like not a mess, but very noisy, very fast. I like the fact that this feels less detailed, but more thought out. Like I have decisions of like where I put my elements, where the noise is, as this has noise all over the place. Like of course there's a way around it where you put, you know, panels on top so that it looks less detailed. But to approach my design, I have something in mind, and I want to translate it. Uh, kind of hard to explain, but I want to be more controlled with the shapes I'm making. Like if I'm using kimbashing, I'm tied to the shapes that are there. But with this, you know, sketching method, I can get exactly the shape I want. And then afterwards, if I need to, I'm gonna get a kit bash on top of it. But like I have a lot of control of like how long my limbs are, how long the shape is, and I can sketch it quickly. And then after that, it's like, okay, well now I need a piece on top of this, so I can go back to my kit bashing elements and then be like, okay, well maybe there's a thing here, maybe there's a thing here, you know. I add my detail back afterwards. So working from simple to complex, and then this is working from complex to simple. But yeah, like kit bashing is super powerful. You just need to have the right pieces and to know what you're doing with those pieces. So most of the time I'm using my own library because I know what part are made for what. For example, is like I know that this part was made for a hand, and if I look in here, I know I have a finger. Right. Like I know these parts. They're very familiar because I made all of them. And how I made them was just I sculpted the whole mech, and then every part that was in the mech I just saved. This was made a long time ago though in 3D code. But it's like, oh yeah, cool shape. But it's a good technique too, and you know you can apply it and use that to detail your stuff. But you need to be careful. Like kit bashing has too much power. It's too strong. You need to be smart about it. You know. Okay, so we're doing guns. I usually don't start right away with the guns on my mech because if you can design a mech with no guns that looks cool, once you put guns on it, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be even better. But if your design doesn't look good, like with guns, like guns is basically like free cool factor, right? Whatever you put guns on, it's gonna look sick. Whatever you put like a giant sword, it's gonna look sick. So you want to have like a good base, and then add your extra cool stuff, you know. Uh, or do we want to use it as a reactor? Not a reactor, but like booster thing. Or does it flip? Trying to figure out the functionality of the design. Like, what does it shoot? Is it like a railgun? Is it a laser? Is it some rockets? So let's try a couple different shapes, see what looks the best, and then we'll model it on the side. Like, do we want big, you know, like big rocket? Want both. Both is a bit extra, but you know. So there's this. You want, let's get more decrease this resolution so we can work faster. You want one big gun? Slaps on top? Maybe not. Like if he moves forward, the gun just pops out. Got one. Like this. Kind of hitting the head. Not a fan of this one. There's only like a couple, not a couple, but a few guns you can make, right? Like whenever I was doing A.N.I.M.O and I had to come up with 13 different guns, I'm like, fuck, what can I make? So I think I not did all of them, but figured out most of them. So I can propose maybe, you know, a couple. Like, is it a minigun with maybe belts of ammo? That'd be pretty cool too. Super heavy. Maybe this is the ammo pack. We're trying to figure out a function for this. Maybe this is that's pretty sick. And then these would probably be some type of laser. Like this, right? Some big lasers, big missiles, big bullets. I think that's what we're gonna do. Got missiles, bullets, or lasers. So let me know in chat. 1, 2, or 3.
Come on, chat. What we got? Not banned says 3, special
3,
2,
2,
2, 2, 3, 3, 2.
I see a lot of 2s.
It's pretty, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go with the minigun with the belt ammo. That should be pretty interesting to do. Okay. We got the overall idea of like the shape we're trying to make. I showed you the way to do it sketchy and then clean it up. For this, since we already know what we're trying to do, we're gonna go clean directly. That's where I whip out my angle stuff, and that's where I'll work, you know, directly on top of it. So go back to my fundamentals. I know that I'm gonna need barrels or tubes, right? Just make sure it's straight with our base. Boom. Okay. This. So I'm working already cleaner, you know. I'm trying to make precise decisions. I'm keeping stuff aligned. Go with 4. We could go with 6, but I think 4 is good enough. Let's go like this. Duplicate, flip, and then we're gonna merge all these 4 together. So we got the base shape of it. It needs like a big drum. Let's make it on the new layer. Trying to align stuff as best as I can. Boom. And if it's a little bit offset, we can move it. I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna move it up here, and I'm just gonna take a slice of it. Like this. And then center the bounds, scale it down a little bit. And attach it to the end, so like the barrels are not flapping around when it's shooting. It's very, contained. Something like this. Make sure that it's not blocking the inside of our barrels. Make sure it looks like chunky and heavy. Something like this. And then we need like a main body. The ammo feeds here. Little Zaxbot. Zaxboot. Nice to see you. Okay. Trying to keep the same kind of proportions. This is going too far back, so I guess we're chopping some of it. And then let's make a new layer. Figure out a cool shape that attaches properly to the rest of this. Center bounds. It's like this is kind of in between the sketching and the detailing at once, right? I'm still, drawing, but I'm also more thoughtful about what I'm drawing, how I'm drawing it. Working with the angle snap helps a lot with that. I'm gonna focus the detail on like this, because this is like the mechanical part of it, right? This is where all the gears and stuff are. This is just the shooty part. And I know I need like a mount to be able to attach it to the shoulders, I guess. So let's go with something like this. Put some screws to show that we're attaching stuff. Get more resolution. Yeah, usually these miniguns have like a handle, right? You can hold. We're just gonna put one. I don't know if it's on his back, but it kind of helps with the visual design of one we're trying to show. I hint at something here, and then we're gonna feed the ammo through here, probably. Like the belt's gonna go like this. We haven't had anybody want to jump in and talk, right? Everybody's just vibing with the music and watching the sculpt. I think it's like almost 3 hours is the longest I've talked by myself. But I appreciate
but
you
watching
guys.
you is like 3D VR sculpting ASMR for these guys.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, sometimes you just need the relaxing Zelda music and watch some VR nonsense. Alright, that's pretty sick. Gonna merge these together. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a new layer that's gonna sit above everything. It's a transparent empty layer, right? And I'm gonna select everything. And I'm just gonna drop it into this empty layer. So if I select the empty layer, it selects everything together. And then we're just gonna pop it right here. Wow, this is mean. This is very mean. Love it. So I'm gonna duplicate this whole group and flip it on the other side. Put back our mirror. Just see where does it sit. That's nice. It's an angle like this. And now we just need to attach it somewhere. So probably we'll attach it to this main part, like this main body part. It feels like this would be an attachment point for it. It's clipping a little bit into this, so you can just erase some of it. Or we move it so that it doesn't clip. It's probably smarter, yeah. Alright, cool. Duplicate, flip. Back to our mirror. Now just figure out an attachment for this. Gonna remove some of this. Now we want some kind of arm here. Here is a good space for the Kid Bash stuff, right? Let's make a new layer. Have this arm. Maybe have a joint like this. so I can rotate freely, right? Like gimbaled turret. This feels very heavy for a gun that's such a small arm. So let's just make sure that it's solid enough. Can always add some kind of piston support or something. Like reinforcement, maybe. I'm not getting the shape I want for this arm, so probably not kit bashing. So go back to our trusty cube brush. Something like this. Now this feels heavy, you know. You got the right size. Wait. Duplicate. I'm gonna move it a little bit like this. Merge the two. Sorry I go quick with these operations. And then duplicate, flip, merge. Yeah, it's already better. Go with our round. I forgot to turn my mirror on, so I'm just gonna do another duplicate flip and merge. And then indicate some type of joint in here too. Put some bolts, some joints so it feels heavy. There we go. Okay, nice. Now we just need this. Let's try to figure out where it attaches. We're gonna go with some kind of bullet shape. Like a chain. It's too big. Let's go with this one. And it goes from here to where? Here. Or here. Let's try a different placement. Will look better. Then move it in place. I'm using a different type of move. It's not the brush, like the square one where you move the whole thing, right? It's the round, soft one where it's like stretchy. So I can move, you know, not more freely, but softly. Yeah, I think this is good. There's like a nice V shape that's going on, so it goes from here to all the way over here, I guess. And then on this part, we'll justify the placement with some element. That would be the port for the bullets to come out of. Okay, nice. Now, if you want something that's ribbed like this, and we don't want to draw everything, there's a couple ways to do it. Either we find a brush that we like in our kit bash brush. No, does this work? That could work, but it's a little bit thin. Let's try it. Maybe it's this color too. That's kind of sick. To the lower torso, the bullets. Yeah, I guess there's like some mech magic happening in here where the bullet container is attached to a torso, so like, you know, the bullets are coming from the torso. I don't know. It's kind of sick, but the shape is very thin. The rest of it is super bulky, but this is thin. So let's try another thing. Either we wait, just keep this in our back pocket for now. We figure out the shape that we like. And then duplicate it a whole bunch and then move it. The only problem with this is every time we duplicate it, it makes a new layer. So we're gonna fill up on layers pretty fast. This is one thing that in Substance Modeler would be really good because you can instance those, and you know, and or we make a custom brush out of this, and we use that as a thing. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, so either we duplicate that layer a whole bunch all the way through, or we make a custom brush out of this, and then that's what we use to duplicate it. But it's pretty easy to do. We just have to select our layer and then press stamp, and then we're gonna make a stamp out of this. Since the layer was, you know, symmetrical, now it's making two. But let's see what we can do. Let's go back to our square. Make something like this that we like. Yeah, I think this fits better than this. Like, it's a bit thicker, and it goes with the whole overall design of our thing. So I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna model it as a separate piece. Make sure that's looking good by itself. Music changed and it's not Pokemon anymore, so maybe it's copyrighted. So let's go back to some Pokemon stuff. I don't want to lose the audio like we did last time. Okay, so this is a cool looking piece. Let's grab this, and I'm gonna align the whole world to the world that I'm sitting in. So if you see on the ground, this is the origin of the world. So if I just make my brush like this, it's gonna be offset from my cursor. So I'm gonna go back in here, go scene origin, and then world, and then turn everything back to 0. So now it's aligned to my world. So if I select my brushes here, and now I go stamp, it should fit aligned with my cursor. Let's put that here. Let's get rid of this. And then make sure we got a red color. And use that. Yeah, that's nice. It's thicker. It's the same idea, but it's like it feels, you know, chunkier. Okay. Let's get rid of these. It's pretty nice. Maybe for some extra thing, we can add like a rib, like a tube power. So like there's the bullets, but there's the power too, you know. Attach it a couple places here. Like there's the electricity, and then there's the bullets. Got some junctions in there. Thanks Zach's butt. Thank you for stopping by. We're almost done with this, so I'm just gonna try something like this. There's gonna be too much. There's gonna be too much detail if we do this. Okay. Make sure the power comes through here. There's some nice little tweaks, but that's really pretty cool. And then maybe one little light pass on this. Make sure it's like ready to go. It's lit up. Okay, that's too much. It's a bit like Christmas tree. I don't want that. Well, it's looking good. Yeah, this is pretty mean looking. I like what we did today. And then it's cool to get well, it's easy to get carried away with this, you know, lighting stuff. Like you can make a bunch of fucking cool bullets, you know, think I even got a custom brush for like a bullet somewhere. Yeah. No. It's a bit much, but like it. It's shredding. That's cool though. But yeah, design is nice. I'll probably do a couple of renders and I'll post it on socials and Twitter and ArtStation, all that stuff. So thanks for stopping by. It was a lot of fun to do. Hopefully we can do this more often in the future. How about some shell flying off it? I mean, sure. The back like this. There's a lot we can do. Like you could take this and you can pose it and do all the VFX and then sculpt like some grass or whatever. There's so much we can do with this. This is just like the mech part, but then when you put the environment and then you put the VFX and everything, you could get some cool smoke or whatever. Sky's the limit with this. So hopefully you guys maybe try this, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always in the Discord. Yeah, have a good day. Thanks for stopping by.
Guys, thanks for coming.